press intro. There you go. And then scene 3.
Am I here? I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just going to talk to you people, and I'm really going to hope that you're talking back.
Why don't you do your show, and I will set you up so you can see the comments. We're outside digging holes for the deck, so I'm not going to be here today. Welcome back to Resistance Chicks.
I just bring the show. Okay? I don't really know how to bring you the show. I just know the show. So Michelle's not going to really hang out. No. And I'm really going to hope that the volume works and y'all can hear me and see me.
Just keep an eye on the chat and they will talk to you.
Talk to me. Tell me if I'm doing something wrong. If you can't. Can you hear me now? Alma, check your battery. All right, I got a really great show. I'm also going to pull up Facebook Live, but I'm not going to. You don't have to. I will do it. I'm going to do this thing because I am a master of disaster. I got my Trump 2020 hat on. We got elections coming on Tuesday. We're going to do a live broadcast. I don't know what time because you start real early and then you just got to chit-chat for a long time. We want to bring you results. So
also, whenever I pull up Facebook Live, you have to mute this right away or they'll get an echo.
Echo.
All right, so here's the deal. Leah's got the Facebook Live chat. She's got the YouTube Live. You switch back and forth from there.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to see you.
All right, now, before I leave, we missed a birthday on Friday.
Shawnee!
Is
he here yet?
I hope so.
If he's not,
you know what? They probably are stuck watching the Stephen Avery case. They both sent me messages today.
Yeah.
Watching Making Murder on Netflix.
Sean's not feeling very well, so when he shows up in the chat, I'm going to try to see when you're here.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to Sean. Happy birthday to you.
All right, so I'm leaving. I love you all. We're literally digging holes. I'm a mess, but we're having a good time. I will miss you. And if you need me, I'm just shout out the window away.
And I would have been here earlier, but Jasper had some Jasper issues, so we had to take care of Jasper. So glad to see you all. I love seeing you. Tell me if you can't see me. Tell me if you can't hear me. I'm just going to go on with the show. And I'm going to be looking at the comments. I'm going to be, yes. All right. So let's start with Brexit. Every Sunday we do our top EU, UK, Euro, world news. And actually, you know what one story I didn't bring up? Holy cow. I'm just going to start out with it, right? The Brazilian Trump, baby. He won this election. So, at first, you know, I was a little bit like, okay, the Brazilian Trump, but people are saying that he's a totalitarian, he's a racist, he's this, he's that. But Paul Joseph Watson did a video with a guy who I guess helps run his campaign, and he dispelled a lot of these myths that I think are put out by the mainstream media to attack this guy. Because from what I understand, the truth about Brazil...
Populist candidate Jair Bolsonaro beat the leftist candidate in the first round of voting in the Brazilian elections. The second and final round takes place this weekend. And to discuss it, I was delighted to be joined by Felipe G. Martins. He's a political analyst specialized in forecasting and a professor of international politics. He's worked at the US Embassy in Brazil, and he is the director of international affairs of PSL, which is Bolsonaro's party. First, I asked Felipe to explain how the political and economic situation in Brazil over the last 10 years helped fuel the rise of a populist candidate like Bolsonaro.
Yes, we should go way back than 10 years ago, but I know we have a little bit of time. So going back 10 years ago, or maybe 20 years ago, all we had was the left. So we didn't have any conservative movement in Brazil.
They only had
we
the left.
Didn't have any right-wing party in Brazil. We didn't have any
most of the people
right-wing politician in Brazil. We had Bolsonaro, we had some other guys, but they didn't have a clear identity. And that's due to the military dictatorship. So the left...
So what Brazil had was the military dictatorship and Soros and the left. When we call out globalism, guys, it's because it literally is global, like worldwide, one world government. They have one message. I watched a really, really good, you guys got to see this, and I don't want to skip around, but you guys got to see the Steve Bannon debate, Monk debate. I think it's called the Monk. I think it's Monk, or this, yeah, Monk, M-U-C-K. Find this. Steve Bannon, Monk, M-U-N-K, Monk debate. Fantastic debate. And he calls it, I'm not exactly sure I like the term populism. I just, it doesn't resonate with me, a meaning. I don't actually, it's not a term that I grew up with. It's not a term that most people even understand. So if they could come up with something else, when they say nationalism, a lot of people don't like that term. A lot of people don't understand what it means. Can we just call it the parties of the people? And Steve Bannon, he debates this, and the reason this is relevant, because he talks about Bolsonaro in Brazil, and these, we're going to go with it because it's their word, populist movement.
I thought party of the Constitution.
Party of the Constitution, but worldwide it is the party of, Lockeanian, John Locke, principles, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, nature and nature's laws. We all have natural rights. So can we call it the people of natural rights, God-given? And I think that is the key here, because these populist movements are people who believe in God-given national rights. And if I were to stand on this stage with this this ex-Bush guy, he debated this ex-Bush guy, never-Trumper Republican, who helped start all of these nasty wars that we're in. And what happened to Michelle? She's outside digging post holes with our friend with his little skid steer, and she probably would be here for the show if it wasn't for the fact that his skid steer got stuck, and it took about an hour and a half to get it out of the backyard and around the front yard, and now bang, 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 the holes are dug in like 30, it's probably going to be dug in like 30, 35, 45 minutes, and maybe she'll be in, I don't know, but she might talk to Tim because he's really helping us out, so at the end. But I'd love for her to step in. She's not here right now. I don't know if she's going to watch my show back, but remember, she's not here, so we can talk about her, talk about the fact that her birthday is Friday, November 9th, and we normally go live on Friday. And I said, do you want to go live on your birthday? She said, of course I want to go live on my birthday. So we're going to be here with you guys on Michelle's birthday, and I'm sure she's going to be excited about that. But this Monk debate on this rise of the populism is exactly a debate on you guys, resistance chicks, the normal people, against these globalist elites. He calls it the party of Davos, the people who make millions of dollars, who decide you don't know how to run your own life, so they need to put constrictions and rules on you and tell you what to do, which is what the EU is all about. And I want to see, because I didn't make any time marks on Steve Bannon's speeches here, and I probably should have, but I will say this, that the theme of this debate was, and this is a worldwide phenomenon, that Steve Bannon was proposing that the rise of populism will come down to two things. It will either be socialist populist, or he calls it capitalist populist. I'm not comfortable with the word capitalist just because we have so much crony capitalism, and actually the party of Davos and the elites, they're the ones who have co-opted true capitalism, made it real crony capitalism. And when we talk capitalism, what we mean is, I set up a business, I have rights to my own profits, and I have a right to make my own rules, make my own decisions, and I get to keep most of my profits and a little bit of taxes for small government for protection of my property, right? So that's what this Monk debate is about. And I believe it says, the future of Western politics is populist, not liberal. And that was the debate topic. And when he started, he was in Toronto, and it was like 72% said no, it's that's not true. And at the end, he changed their minds and he flipped the people. And at the end, 56% said it was true. It went from 72-24 or something like that to 56%. And he just did a really great debate here. Let's see if we can get a good... He had a tough crowd here in Toronto.
Please remove the person from the hall.
Let's see.
Kojo, the Soviet Union, Al Qaeda, Osama bin Laden. Nobody's ever brought the United States to its knees like that day. Who did that? Who's responsible for that? The populist? Donald Trump? No, the elites. The financial, the corporate, the permanent political class that runs Washington, D.C., that's who did it. What was their solution? To create money and bail themselves out.
So he's talking about here, he talks about the big bailout that happened in the big financial crisis that happened in 2008. And what I want to explain to you guys, I'm going to tie this into Donald Trump because we're going to have another financial collapse. And Steve Bannon goes to talk about Trump as a phenomenon, but not just Trump. I have on this hat, but it means so much more. I'm wearing the hat because it represents Hungary standing up. It represents Italy standing up. It represents Poland standing up. It represents Brazilians standing up. It represents Austria standing up. It represents godly, holy people who believe in the inherent natural rights of each individual. And yeah, you're going to have some fringe over here who take it too far and become racist. But guess what? Liberals are really racist because they are cool with slaves and bringing in migrants for slavery. So like, if you're going to, you're never going to have the entire people in one movement be awesome because evil's in the world. You're going to have evil people, right? In every movement. But the basic good people this is not a racist idealism. It's actually about the inherent natural rights of every single individual. And what Steve Bannon goes on to say is that what Trump has done is something, Hillary would have us in war with Russia. Assad would definitely be gone. And Syria would be totally wiped out. We would probably... I don't know. Iran was next on the list. Okay, so we might be at war with Iran, and the financial markets would be in turmoil, and we would be in a horrible, awful position. Now, I love that Steve Bannon and a lot of other financial experts are saying exactly what I said when Trump was elected, was that we're going to still have the great financial collapse, but it's going to be a lot more fun because we've got Trump on our side, and he is bringing, yes, Chris, capitalism is good, crony capitalism is actually corporatism. When we throw around these terms, it's really important for us to have definitions with the terms, so that's a really good way to say that. What is streaming behind you, Leah? This is the Monk debate with Steve Bannon, which is so powerful. Google it, watch it. I actually kind of skipped a little bit of his extra debaters because it's driving me crazy. There's Patriot Gallery. All right. So what was their solution, this financial crush that happened in 2008? And we are going to get to top EU news. But I want to set a stage here.
On the day that happened, the balance sheet of the Federal Reserve was $880 billion. When Donald Trump took the oath of office, January 20th, 2017, it was $4.5 trillion. We flooded the zone with liquidity, just like the Bank of Tokyo, the Bank of England, the European Central Bank. The party at Davos, the elites, bailed themselves out, afraid of some sort of deflationary death spiral. That's not a free bailout. There's a corollary to that. Savings accounts are zero. Pension funds have the biggest gap in history. You can't underwrite a bond in the United States because you only get, for a public school or waterworks, you get 2%. The little guy would bear the burden of that.
So what we have is an economy that is artificially propped up. And if you didn't understand that, what he's saying is that the elites, they got the bailout. Those who had money in the stock market, they're doing fantastic. But regular normal people who might have their savings in stocks or bonds, or they have a pension fund. Do you guys remember, Michelle and I were talking about this, in the 50s or 60s, it was well known that a man was paid a decent wage, but more than that, he worked for a company, usually for 30 years, and he had a retirement, okay? The government has then now become people's retirement, which is way lower. Social Security is just bare minimum. You can't really, as a senior, live very well off of that. But companies have foregone real pension plans in favor of Roth IRAs and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and all these different like company matches things, and you can take this much out. And the government's so into people's money and so into tricking people and taking as much as they can from people. So while on the outside, it looks like the economies are all doing well, unless you're in Venezuela, the actual little guy, the regular normal guy. Let me give you an example. You can, a friend of ours had bought a brand new Expedition like 15 years ago. He goes in, the price of a brand new Expedition has doubled and he can't afford it. He's like, how is it that the price of a brand new Expedition can double, but my paycheck hasn't doubled? And that's where we're at. Paychecks have not kept pace with the inflationary prices all around us, because corporations are raising their prices more and more and more. And this is worldwide, which is one of the things that is fueling this populist movement. So I'm going to go back to Bolsonaro. I'm sorry, I'm saying it wrong. For just a minute, and we're going to move on to some more UK and Euro news. But this is so exciting, because when you see that it's that these movements are not restricted to the UK and the United States, which definitely have a foundation in individual liberties and freedom, we're cousins, but it's also Poland and Hungary, and now we see in South America, there is hope, y'all. So when it is so diametric, it's so opposite. This is like opposite day, where the elites say that the Make America Great people are racist and don't want to get along with other countries. No. What we don't want to do is we don't want to work with the elites and the globalists. We want to work with the people. We want to work with the grassroots. We want to work with average Brazilians, average Polish people, the normal people who love God and get up every day, because they're going to be honest. They're going to make honest trade deals, right? They're going to do what's right for their country, and they're also going to do what's right for the other country that they're making deals with. And in that monk debate with Steve Bannon, he calls Trump and Trump voters all racist and people who want to destroy country ties and have these rise of nationalism like Hitler and the fascists in Italy, which is actually what they are doing. What they accuse you of is exactly what they're doing, and they don't even hide it. Patriot Gallery.
Well, just a real quick history lesson.
In America, everybody had their farms. The reason they had farms is they would work 50 years on the land, building barns, planting trees, raising animals. By the time you're 50, you got a cattle. I mean, you have a whole bunch of animals. I mean, herds of pigs or herds of chickens or herds of cattle. They multiply themselves, and you have put this labor into your land, and you retire, and your children take over, and they keep it going. But you can live off of what you did for 50 years on your land. Well, they wanted workers. So they said, listen, we'll put money aside for your retirement, and we'll give you an honest way so you can, your wife can stay home and raise the children, and you can, and I'll give you enough to provide for your wife and children. And then they cut back on that. Now women and men both have to work, and they took the retirement away. So now you're slaves.
Exactly.
Trump just wants to go back to 1950, where a man and a woman still have to work, but maybe they'll have something for what they put that time and effort into. Exactly. We want to go all the way back to before the Federal Reserve.
And you know what? Once the snowball's going, baby, and the avalanche is running, you can't stop it. You can't stop it. All right. So, here we go now. Mom, do you want help? Or
I'm
just
trying to figure it out.
Okay. Donatary, I'm sorry, you're in Facebook jail. I want to see if there's any more comments here. All right. Otto says the American economy has gone from one based on production to one based on usury and debt. Always lower prices has sunk us. You're absolutely right.
Used the dictatorship to shame the conservatives, to shame
Brazil, baby.
The political right wing in Brazil. And for decades and decades, all we had was a contest between leftists. We had PT, Partido dos Trabalhadores, the Workers' Party, and in the other case...
So what they had in Brazil is kind of like the Bernie Sanders versus the Hillary Clintons, but they didn't have any conservatives.
PSDB. PSDB stands for Social Democrats, but both of them used to act on the culture, on media, to advance the diversity, the progressive agenda. So we didn't have any representation of the Brazilian right wing. And in the same time, we had a very, very conservative population. So our population is still very Catholic and Christian. We have people that are against abortion, against gay marriage, against socialism, but they didn't have any representation. And in the same time, we had a lot of corruption. So the political class here in Brazil.
So I want to kind of, because this is a 30-minute long interview, I want to go over the highlights with you. They're painting him as a dictator. He's not a dictator. They're painting him as a misogynist, but women love him, and he wants to protect women. Crime in Brazil is at an all-time high. I want to say they had like 60,000 murders or something crazy in the capital. I don't know. It's just, and what has happened is that the organized crime gets away with things because the elitist political criminals, they don't do anything. And that is one of the reasons why Bolsonaro, I can't ever say it right, won the election, was because people wanted to feel safe again. They wanted to make Brazil great again. And so this interview here has assuaged my fears from, fake news, that this guy is just a crazy dictator. They had dictatorship before. And so if they're bringing it down a little bit, it's a Christian country. They're going to be pro-life. And Trump congratulated him. So what we're seeing in Brazil is a fantastic. I'm going to see if he can see. There's a couple more points here.
One other motive why he's also very popular here in Brazil.
Now, expanding this out into the wider conservative movement in Brazil, BuzzFeed, of all people, not a right-wing organisation by any stretch of the imagination, had an article this week entitled "YouTubers Will Enter Politics, and the ones who do are probably going to win." I went on these channels of some of these YouTubers. They built up massive audiences, in one case over 2 million subscribers. Some of them have actually now moved into positions of power. This is the MBL movement and a guy called Arthur Mame Fale. They've had such massive success based off of social media and YouTube. Tell us how that happened.
So they're talking about in Brazil, YouTubers, and a lot of Brazilians kept contacting Paul Joseph Watson saying, cover our election, cover our election, cover our election. And I'm so glad that Paul Joseph Watson has dug deep into this Brazilian election and brought it to us alive, because if we didn't know it, I mean, this is just huge. This is a really great win. This is a really great push. And I'm going to tell you what, guys. It's because of Christianity. You can be an atheist, but France needs more Jesus if you want to make France great again. Le Pen is a Christian. I believe her movement is they're Catholic, but they're Christian based on fundamental rights there. I honestly think that Brazil has an even more a lock on fundamental rights of liberty. Your government's there to protect you and things like that. So there is that. Now, I'd love to start our show usually in the UK, because those are our cousins, the people that we kind of get a lot of our documents and things from, and there's just a lot of stuff going on in the UK, and the UK is almost like a trendsetter for what else is kind of happening in the rest of Europe, and they're kind of an indicator and a barometer, so what's happening there is kind of happening in other places. Plus it's kind of easier because they speak English and the news outlets are in English, so kind of easier there, a little bit more difficult in France and things like that. Hey Justin, all right, glad to see you guys. Let me see if there's anything. All right. I want to go back and read some of your comments. Why can't any dude that makes $10 an hour and owns his own shoes can finance a $30,000 Dodge truck in 2 hours, but can't get $20,000 to buy land? You know what? That's not part of our show, but that's a really, really good point, because those car guys, they will get you every single day on those really, really expensive trucks. Repossessing those trucks. I guess it's easier to resell a truck after it's been repossessed. All right, moving on. Recent Brexit trade drama shows that Europe really doesn't want free trade. Interesting. I wouldn't say all of Europe, but I'm definitely going to say the elites in Europe. As Brexit negotiations approach their initial deadline, UK's plans to renegotiate a quick trade deal with the WTO members once it leaves the EU bloc has been met with disdain by some of their trading partners. UK's shortcut deal proposed essentially copying the same trade deal that the EU and the WTO has, and then use the same wording in a document covering the UK's new membership. Russia, US, New Zealand, Japan, Moldova, among others, have raised serious concerns about this since late 2017, and thus did not offer their approval to the fast track deal last week. They also blocked the UK's access to the World Trade Organization's government procurement agreement, an accord that would open and smooth out access to government procurement contracts for the signing parties. The reasons for opposing UK's proposals have varied. For the US, some of the paperwork lacked key forms. Russia, blah, blah, blah. However, this is there is one other underlying reason these governments' reluctance to speed up the process and for their desire to bring about new long-term drawn negotiations. This can be traced back to what Bugatti and Irwin called in 1987 the return of the reciprocations. I don't know exactly how to say that. The belief that trade liberalization is only beneficial if other countries liberalize to the same extent or more. Otherwise, the belief goes, countries that remain protectionistic will gain at the expense of the countries that have opened their trade borders. The WTO has done everything in their power to reinforce this fallacy. So we're going to see what happens with the with these trade deals. But in the end, every single country needs to do what's right for their country. And that's why when you have the EU bloc trying to make trade negotiations, that's the biggest thing in the EU where it's not working for French farmers. French farmers are committing suicide at a crazy rate. Nigel Farage himself will tell you that you've got wine merchants over here and cheese makers over here, and the EU is regulating, micromanaging all of these industries to where when you're in Europe, you can't just wake up and say, hey, I want to be a dairy farmer, because the EU's like, hey, we got too much cheese. You can't be a dairy farmer. It's just crazy. And so each country needs to make sure that their citizens can do what they want to do, and then they find a way to make first their citizens be able to sell their goods within their own country, and then be able to sell their goods to other countries. Still, let's see. I want to see if I got a Nigel Farage video here. Let's see, on the open borders. I'm going to play this clip here.
This caravan, these now 4 caravans coming towards America, we saw all of this in Europe in 2015. We saw a maritime caravan coming across the Mediterranean. Politicians paralyzed, not knowing how to deal with it. And in the end, Mrs. Merkel saying, okay, we can cope. As many of you as want to come, we'll deal with it.
Yeah, how'd that work out?
This week we've seen her stand out as leader of her party. Her days as Chancellor of Germany are numbered. And what happens here is politicians are scared to talk about this. People really care about this stuff, and I think Trump absolutely is doing the right thing. I really...
Repeat after me. Drain the swamp. The swamp is draining. Merkel is leaving. If you guys don't believe that worldwide something is happening, look at the fact that Mommy Merkel, the mother, seriously, she even called herself Mommy Merkel to all these, quote, migrants coming in, right? Mommy Merkel is not going to be leader of the EU anymore. I mean, that's a draining of the swamp. And you have these populist movements all across Europe. The elections in May are going to be pretty exciting to see if some of these populist movements gain a significant amount of seats in the European Parliament, because we want to see Europe great again. Every time I look at some of these pictures of Europe and their castles, and I'm going to show you guys some later that I had up, but I was just kind of looking at, and on the Voice of Europe on Twitter, and it's just so beautiful. And I want you guys to keep that beauty, because beauty fills your soul. You've got to make sure that with the modern inventions and architecture, that you guys keep your soul in Europe, because it feeds you. It literally feeds you. These old buildings, your history, for good or for bad, it feeds your soul. It's amazing. Okay, so in the UK, terror investigations are now deemed as an inconvenience. So the police are now worried that when there's these widespread manhunts for a terror suspect, you know what their number one fear seems to be right now? That they might inconvenience people of that community by knocking on their doors and asking the hard questions. But I gotta tell you what, guys, if the Amish community is blowing people up, they better open their doors. All right? And I'm sorry if you're going to be inconvenienced, but if, like, Amish kids are constantly blowing people up, I mean, if it's a one-off thing, but it's not, you guys. It's like something like 87% of all terror attacks come from these communities. So, yeah. All right, if it was the Amish people, you know what they'd say, right? Okay, here we go. Britain's independent reviewer of terrorism legislation, Max Hill, recently recommended the police should consider and reflect upon the community impact of a large-scale terror investigation, centering as it did on particular areas of Manchester with a large Muslim population. Good community policing as well as good counter-terrorism policing demands that real efforts are made to work within and with the local communities, where many blameless residents all have been inconvenienced, if not traumatized, by the regular appearance of police search and arrest teams on their street or in their home. I would like to see the outcome of the police reflections on this aspect. Now, I'm going to tell you what comes to my mind. It's kind of like getting all the firefighters together. Now, firefighters, I know that when you're going to set out a fire, you're going to have to use a lot of water. But I want you to reflect on the damage done to the building when you spray the building with water, because water might drip from the top floor to the bottom floor, and the bottom floor didn't have any fire. So I want you to reflect on your water damage and try to mitigate your water damage when putting out the fire. Said no sane firefighter ever. Put the fire out, baby. Knock on the doors. You want to be nice. You want to be civil. But come on. Hill's recommendation was published in his recent report on how the UK handles its counter-terrorism efforts. In the report, Hill examines police investigations of the major 2017 terror attacks, which was probably... Was that not the biggest year for terror attacks? I mean, like, we were going live over and over and over again, and praise the Lord. 2018 has been quietish, right? His recommendation was connected to the investigation into the terror attacks into Manchester, May 2017, in which Salman al-Bidi murdered 22 people and injured 139, half of them children. The police, in other words, should consider making it a priority to work in a way so that their investigations of the murder and maiming of all these people will not inconvenience the community in which the suicide bomber lived. Hill based his recommendation on talks he had previously with Muslim organizations across the UK about the impact of the counterterrorism legislation. The talks with the Muslim organizations were recorded in the report. Almost all participants articulated a profound sense of anger and frustration at the consequences of extensive police raids within the community and a perceived lack of support to deal with these consequences, including the fear of being ostracized and targeted by wider society. No one, however, seems to be holding roundtable talks with non-Muslim communities across the UK to address their legitimate fears and concerns about religiously motivated terrorism on their lives. Quite the inconvenience. According to the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty of Children, a leading UK children's charity, more than 300 counselling sessions were held by the organisation with children after the terrorist attacks in the Manchester area, apparently 4 times as many sessions as usual. Children are saying, I constantly feel anxious. I'm really worried that they will get somebody in my family. I haven't been sleeping because it is all I can think about. Yes, that's a thing. That is a thing. All right, let's see. Is there anything else? Any comments? All right, we're going to move on. Parents protest 30-year-old asylum seeker at an English school in the UK. English as in not just the language, as in like England. English. Get it? Okay. All right. I'm not even kidding you. 30 years old. Parents have reacted with anger. I wonder why. After it emerged that pupils at an English school had been sharing classes with a 30-year-old asylum seeker. The man, believed to be an Iranian, allegedly told his year 11 classmates at Stoke High in Ipswich that he had told officials that he was 15 years old in order to get, what is the GCSEs? Is that some sort of asylum grant? Because his qualifications were not recognized in Britain. Authorities were looking into the, is that maybe something school related? Authorities are looking into the pupil's age after outcry from parents of children at the school following an image of the asylum seeker being posted to Snapchat with the message, "How's there a 30-year-old man in our math class?" Speaking to the BBC, Lewis Forte, who stepped out as a pupil at Stoke High School, said he was unhappy with the school's response to concerns over the asylum seeker. I went to the school to raise concerns about it, and the teacher tried to shut me down, saying all his documents were present and correct. If he's a child, then I am very sorry, but I had a few children in my class who looked old for their age, but this is something else. According to Mail Online, the pupil at the center of the controversy broke into Britain illegally after traveling from Germany, then was sent to Stoke High School after telling the Home Office officials he was a minor. The mother of a boy who was in the same year said parents at the school have been pulling their children out of school right and left and center. Looking at photos of this man, he's clearly older than 30. How can someone like this be eating with the children, changing with the children, and learning with our children while pretending to be a teenager? So, 30 years old in class. Wild West Britain. Police reveal 69,000 children wounded a year in a violent crime wave. Now, Piers Morgan loves, every time there's a shooting, he goes on and on and on. Americans, when are you going to give up your guns? Americans, when are you going to give up your guns? Now, I got to tell you, if these kids had guns, there'd be a lot of dead people. Because it takes a lot more to stick a knife into somebody than it does a bullet. And that's just the truth. It's true. Got to be hand on hand. You got to be close contact. You got to be able to overpower that person. And there's more chance that you will be injured yourself. And so it takes a certain mindset. And I would go so far as to, I would say, yes, absolutely, that you have to be more violent inside to use a knife on somebody than to use a gun. What does that mean for the UK, Piers Morgan? It means that you have an issue in your country with children, more children with more violent tendencies than are here in America. And you want to tell us to get rid of our guns, but you have no solution for dealing with what's causing the violent anger, the gang attacks, the mindless brute beast mentality that would go up and randomly and stab someone. I'm not saying the United States doesn't have stabbing. I'm saying that people who stab people are cray-cray and more crazy than people using a gun. You got to go into an animalistic part of your brain. So you have to come up with a solution to deal with this violence. Children as young as 9 are carrying knives, and 69,000 a year are wounded by blades as areas turn into a wild west thanks to the UK's violent crime wave, a senior police officer said. Assistant Chief Constable Jacqueline Sabire of Bedfordshire Police said that after more than 20 years in the force, the past few years have felt completely different. Wild West, it can be. It's happening in broad daylight. They're in public spaces. She was speaking at a joint summit of the Association of Police and Crime Commissioners and the National Police Chiefs Council Summit in London, where other top cops expressed concern about the rising violent crime and slammed the focus on hate crime and offensive comments. So you got little children running around with knives, stabbing each other. You should not have one police officer investigating internet meanness. I'm not talking about violence. I'm talking about meanness, aka hate crimes. No, you don't investigate people even throwing out the N-word when you got kids knifing each other. And you know what, guys? Speech is protected. Hateful speech is protected. You don't get to go to jail because you hate somebody and you say the most vile things about them. Racist words are freedom of speech. If you don't like somebody, because the stuff they say about Donald Trump, calling somebody a Nazi and a Hitler is just as bad when they're not as being racist or homophobic or Islamophobic. Guys, you gotta do something. The senior officer explained that in the year of June, there were 69,000 child woundings, defined as a stabbing or other violent incident resulting in a severe injury to a child between 10 and 15. We're not talking about 16, 17, and 18-year-olds either. Just 5 years. Just 10 to 15, 69,000. I don't know what the results are here in America, but I guarantee you it's not that. And your country's the size of Ohio. We have 50 states. An increase of 4,000 on the year before. According to the Times, she said, "This feels completely different. I've worked in some really challenging London boroughs." She continued, "This level of violence, this constant torrent of every single day, another stabbing, another violent incident that we can't seem to get ahead of. There are children as young as 12 involved in stabbings. We have 9 and 10-year-olds carrying knives." And you know what? Here in America, a 9 and 10-year-old carrying a knife is going to whittle some wood or use it a pocket knife out in the woods. I'm not afraid of 9 and 10-year-olds carrying knives. I'm not afraid in America of people carrying knives. because people don't randomly go them up and stab people. We use knives here. We're the frontier country. We use knives. We open boxes. Cut twine. It's like 5 million uses for a pocket knife. The only thing they seem to know to use it for is stabbing. Why? They don't have fathers teaching them how to go out and hunt, maybe? How to use a knife properly. How to respect life. How to be a good human being. The feminist movement, what does the feminist movement say? You don't need dads. You don't need to go outside, learn how to camp, learn how to make a fire. No, no, no. That would be gender assignment or something, right? No, no, no. Sabire also explained how violent clashes were happening in public spaces in broad daylight, showing footage of youths shooting each other in a car park. Oh, they got guns. Criminals got guns. Go figure. The disregard of some of the consequences, or that they might get found out. That's what feels different to me. We've always had violence. We've always had people shoot or stab each other. But the level of increase and just how sustained it is, it's just constant. I worry that if we can't get this right with agency partners and as a society and as a community, I do worry that this will continue. And it will. It will. All right. Okay. Let's put our bets down. Tommy Robinson. Okay. Do you guys have anything to say on that? Because I was told not to start fires, burn the Australian bush down a few times. Yeah, well, you got to learn how to do a fire at the proper time. And if you're in a dry area that's prone to like just combusting, with a little bitty spark, probably maybe don't make fires. But I'm pretty sure Britain's okay to start fires. They're kind of a damp country. Anyways, I think they're okay. Australia's a little bit different, a little bit drier, controlled burn. A few years back, 2 Albanian gangs had a fight and they chased one of them into the back of an ambulance and killed him, says Jack Russell. That is crazy. Scotty Good says, if you want to ban all knives and all human activity, I suggest you blow up the entire planet so nothing bad ever happens again to anyone, because we will all be dead. Problem solved. You're a genius. You should get a Nobel Prize for that. Tim Smith says, Britt, I work for the utility company, and the city I need to work in has a place called Wilmington. It had last year the highest per capita murder rate in the entire nation. Young kids, drugs, and handguns. Scotty says, you can't ban everything on the planet. That's not a way to live. Government doesn't address the root of the problem, which is immorality and a lack of God. California has a new gun term, semi-auto assault rifle. An assault rifle is defined by the ATF as a select fire fully auto military rifle. A semi-auto assault rifle is an oxymoron. Huh, very interesting. All right. I like getting you guys' comments. It's fun. All right. So, Tommy Robinson has been invited to the United States. And of course, because the UK has been proven to be the country of travel banning. I gotta tell you, did they get that from China? Because China does a lot of that travel banning of their citizens. Several members of the UK Parliament, led by the Soros-funded Hope Not Hate director Ruth Smith, MP, who have in the past expressed hatred for President Donald Trump, are now begging his administration to ban Tommy Robinson from the U.S. This is not a joke. This is for real. I'm not even kidding you. They want to make sure, they want to try to ban Tommy Robinson from the U.S. He's not convicted of anything. Not a criminal. He's been invited. The motion signed by Ms. Smith, along with 18 other MPs, 16 from the Labour benches, and 2 from the nominally right-wing Conservatives, request the UK government lobby the Trump administration. I hope that doesn't go very well. You hate him, and you want to ban Trump from coming to have a state visit. I know you people did. I know you guys did. These are the people that did. I'm sure of it. But then now you want him to come do something for you. Stop Tommy Robinson from telling the truth. Here to our Congress. Ha 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 ha. I don't think it's gonna work. To prevent a prior ban from being overturned following Mr. Robinson, real name Stephen Yexley Lennon, for receiving an invitation to talk in Washington, D.C. on November 14th. The motion states, if the U.S. administration bows to pressure from right-wing groups and figures allied with the Trump administration and overturns Yexley Lennon's ban and allow him into the U.S., the media exposure and the money he could raise on the trip would have a detrimental impact on community relations in the UK. The motion has been promoted by the far-left Antifa-linked activist group Hope Not Hate, where Ms. Smith serves as a director. So, literally, is the Trump administration going to listen to George Soros? I sure hope not. Another signatory to the motion is Labour MP Wes Streeting, who said President Trump was not welcome in the UK, calling the US leader a peddler of far-right hatred. The antithesis of our two great democracies, he says, Trump is such an odious, sad little man. Imagine being proud to have that as your president. And now he would like him to do him a favor.
Tommy Robinson is a perfect example of hope. And I wanted to say, I was going to wrap up some of the things taught in the chat. Like, so what's like Merkel being in power till 2021? Well, actually, we're all learning that the leaders get their power from the consent of the people. And that means that people actually have some respect for that person. Once the people lose respect for a leader, they have no more power. And MSM, mass media, has been leading us. And we have no more respect for them. And so they're not going to lead anymore. And so you talk about the gun and people stabbing each other. And you were being sarcastic. There was sarcasm in the chat. Well, see, you don't need sarcasm to defend yourself anymore. Now, you have all these Muslims in your countries, different countries, whether you're Australia or Germany, and they're causing all this trouble. Like Trump says, you bring in immigrants, you're going to have crime. But if your mainstream media that everybody watches starts telling the truth, that through Jesus Christ, we have the 10 Commandments. Do not lie, do not cheat, do not steal, do not murder, do not falsely accuse other people. Now, your Muhammad says you can do all this, but you got to know the truth about your Muhammad was a pedophile. Your Muhammad was a homosexual. Muhammad was a world conqueror who set out to conquer the world and make everybody. He wanted to be a tyrant. He wanted to lead people. He wanted people to worship him, not God. And so as long as you're saying Allah is great or whatever you say, you're obeying Muhammad, not God. And you're actually worshiping Muhammad. Muhammad was a really bad guy. You put that on mainstream media. You start telling the truth. That's what Tommy Robinson is doing. He's telling the truth. The truth is getting out there. I tell you, billions and millions of billions of Muslims are going to turn to Christianity because they're going to realize they've been taken advantage of. They've been lied to about this being God's will, and it's not God's will. Muhammad made it all up. You get that on mainstream media. You put that all over the press, written press. You put that in every chat room. You put that on every YouTube. Muslims can be set free and know the saving grace and love and power of God. Your children won't be going around stabbing people anymore because the truth, your children just want to be loved and they just want to know the truth. They're forced to use knives and stuff because their parents aren't protecting them and the government's protecting you, so you can't protect your children. But when we unify under somebody like Tommy Robinson, under somebody like the Brazilian president, under people who are actually telling the truth and we don't believe the lies about him anymore, people started lying about George Washington. They started lying about Thomas Jefferson so they could take over the country. But when we respect George Washington, when we respect John Adams, when we respect Thomas Jefferson, these people can't lie about them anymore, and we'll be like them. We'll be men of God. We'll be strong. We'll be powerful like they were. They overthrew the British nation or empire that was East Indian Company that ran the world. And a few men 3% of our population overthrew this vast empire. You know, these people can fall. We just have to unite under truth and realize how powerful the truth is.
That's, yeah. Right on. Spot on, Mom. Scotty said, the day the media starts to tell people to repent, things will turn around. And actually what they do is they moralize to us all day, every day. They're telling us we're xenophobic, we're racist, and they're actually telling us to repent. Like, they literally, every day, all day, they're telling us to be moral, but their kind of morals. They switch it and start actually, representing good morals, like, they did in the 50s and 60s on TV with Leave It to Beaver and stuff like that. I was reading some of these comments, and I liked what you guys were talking about. Tim Smith says, yes, we have the same problem here. Criminals can get guns easily. Law-abiding citizens have to go through a bit of paperwork and background checks. You guys are awesome. They're removing chimneys. Housings are banning coal fires, which is interesting. Kind of blocking some freedom there. The same people who blocked Trump went to block Tom in your land. Maia, you're funny. Saying Soros now is considered anti-Semitism. Yeah, so one guy, the head of Judicial Watch, was on Lou Dobbs, and he was talking about the migrant caravan, and he mentioned that they were being funded by George Soros, and he was, like, never allowed to come back. It's so crazy. They're afraid because of all the attention paid to this country and the president. It will elevate and give Tommy more credibility worldwide. So we shall see. Even this organization, Hope Not Hate, doubts that Robinson will be barred from the U.S. It's possible when he gets here he might take a United States tour. He's worried that he'll earn $1 million while he's over here. And I got to tell you, if he comes near me, we're certainly going to go see him. Here's some good news. Austria's populist leader on migrant pact pulled out. We are only committed to our own people. Populist Austrian Vice Chancellor Heinz Christian Struck defended his country's move. My German's not coming out right. To pull out of the UN migration pact, saying he was only concerned with what is best for Austrians. The leader of the Austrian Freedom Party. We are only responsible to our Austrian population as government officials. Austrian sovereignty has top priority for us. This must be preserved and protected. He added that the migration pact would also create a possibility that people who are unlawfully coming to Austria are legally compliant. In the government's program, we have promised stop illegal migration to protect citizen safety, to protect the borders. He said and added that voters would question the government if they reneged on that promise by signing the pact. When asked about other countries who had signed the pact, he said, "We do not care how many states join and do not. We are pioneers when it comes to ensuring the sovereignty and the self-destruction of Austria, so as not to end up with foreign rule." Go Austria. Another story from the UK. I meant to finish all the UK news at one time and then move on, but this one will make you scratch your head, baby. Listen to this. Saudi-led Yemen strikes destroy UK aid with, get this, British-made bombs, baby. What is happening? Oxfam slams London's incoherent policy. That's like shoot yourself in the foot or something like that. Humanitarian aid projects funded by Oxfam in Yemen have repeatedly been bombed by the Saudi-led coalition, the British charity said, slamming the government for refusing to halt their support and weapon supplies in Riyadh. Coalition airstrikes hit a vital cholera medical facility in Abs, Hajjah province in June, despite being notified about the treatment facility on more than 12 occasions. The Independent reported in April the jets also struck a water supply system, which impacted the livelihood of at least 6,000 people in a country that is suffering one of the worst humanitarian disasters of the 21st century. Rand Paul keeps posting this one picture that was actually taken off Facebook and then re-put back on of a severely malnourished little girl. The revelations about the strikes on charity-funded facilities in Yemen emerged following this week's parliamentary debates in the House of Commons, where British lawmakers were trying to evaluate the impact of UK arms sales to the Saudis. During the hearing on Tuesday, Oxfam's Dina El Manmoun revealed that UK aid to the war-torn country is being bombarded. On one hand, British aid is a vital lifeline. On the other, British bombs are helping to fuel an ongoing war that is leading to countless lives being lost each week to fighting, disease, and hunger. But those British bomb makers are making a pretty penny. And it's British citizens that are funding Oxfam, so the British bomb makers, it doesn't make any difference to them. Listen to this.
Now, Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt has expressed shock over the latest information to emerge in the murder case of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. The dissident journalist was killed in the Saudi consulate in Istanbul on October the 2nd. Riyadh claims he was murdered as a result of a fight with rogue staff members. But now Istanbul's chief prosecutor says Khashoggi was strangled as soon as he entered the building. His body was then dismembered and disposed of. Despite international condemnation and pressure, Jeremy Hunt says the UK can't afford to stop arms sales to Saudi Arabia. RT's Anastasia Churkina has the story.
The Khashoggi murder may be, quote, completely contrary to British values, but it doesn't look likely that this will be affecting the trade relationship between the UK and its longtime ally Saudi Arabia anytime soon, despite the renewed criticism of this trade relationship with the UK selling weapons to the Saudi regime having been renewed following this latest Khashoggi scandal.
I think one of the issues is that there are some countries which have very good human rights record that would end up being very insulted if we said to them that we're only prepared to sign a trade deal with you if you agree to a human rights clause. And I think there is a particular issue that because of Brexit we are going to be aiming to sign trade deals with everyone at the moment.
Well, there we have it. UK Foreign Secretary saying that trade relationships with everybody are going to be continuing, especially in light of Brexit. But this issue of the UK support of the Saudi-led coalition in Yemen has been at the forefront this week. We also saw the Middle East Minister Alistair Burt appear in Parliament, where he was also questioned about the trade relationship between the UK and Saudi Arabia, and he also insisted that this relationship is something that does not affect the dire situation with the conflict on the ground.
The only thing that we don't do is actually press the button to drop the bomb. Arms supplies are there for those who need to defend themselves.
The amount of raids targeting civilians has gone up, not down. If these are all errors, there seem to be an awful lot of them.
Well, the UK government continues to be insistent that there's no link between the Khashoggi murder and its involvement with the Saudi-led coalition in the war in Yemen, which, as we know now, has led to the deaths of as many as 56,000 people, making it all the more shocking to hear that UK Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt was saying in Westminster that it's necessary to wait and see what kind of...
I like what the one guy said. If this is a mistake, there seems to be a lot of them. UK weapons deals top $16 billion a year in the UK. So Michelle is outside if you're looking for her digging holes with the bobcat. The friend bars. So you get me. All right. Best news in a long time, followed by, you knew it wasn't going to be that easy, did ya? The Christian woman, Bibi, is free. Sort of. She has been freed. She was supposed to be put to death. She was arrested in 2008 because it was a really hot day and she was a poor worker and she worked with Muslims, and they asked her to go get a cup so they could all have a drink of water. And she took a drink first, and then they drank, and then when they found out that she had drank out of their cup, She was arrested because that is insulting Mohammed and Islam. And she was sentenced to death. She's been in jail for 10 years. She's got like 3 kids, I think. And the reaction from Pakistani citizens should have us all very, very concerned. You need to know that the grooming gangs in the UK were Pakistani. So what does it say of a culture? What does it say of a people when the grooming gangs are all of one origin and their relatives and friends back home rush to the streets, demand that the Supreme Court now all be put to death because they let this woman go free? Here's the first video. Protests break out. Protesting the Christian woman being acquitted. They want her dead. That's what they're saying. The anger you have to feel inside. The evil that leads someone to want to put somebody to death. Not all cultures are created equal. Try to be as good as you can in the chat. This is from the Iman of Peace. Islamists raid Christian minority area after Bibi is given her freedom and not executed. This is what they do to Christian areas. Like rabies in a dog. I honestly think that looks like they're zombies, like World War Z. Here's another protest. Blasphemy protests continue for a 3rd day. Enraged Islamist hardliners protest the Supreme Court decisions to acquit a Christian woman for blasphemy after she spent 8 years on death row. Listen to this. As you know, our Supreme Court freed Bibi in the case of dishonoring the Holy Prophet, and the entire country is protesting because this decision was made under international pressure. We see this acquittal as an attempt to change the ideological foundations of Pakistan, an attempt to change the blasphemy laws and all other Islamic laws. We don't see this judgment in isolation, but as a part of a larger plot to change Islamic laws of the country. Pakistan's military warned its patient has been thoroughly tested by the hardliners' threats.
It's just that there's some derogatory terms in the chat.
Yeah.
And calling people names is not going to help these people. It's not going to help anybody. You might feel good you got out of you.
Right.
You know, I got mad, I got angry, and I can't keep it in me. Well, you know, these people just have to ask, why do they believe this way? Why do they think this way? Yeah. It's going to come back, well, my dad taught me, my mom taught me, grandfather taught me. And you've been taught all this stuff. But this is how you really think. And is it possible they lied to you? And we have to do the same thing ourselves. We have to go back to public school. Yeah. And we believe a lot of things that we were just taught. Well, they said so. I was just thinking today, I bought a class ring. Why'd you buy a class ring? I'm trying to realize that gold and silver is real money. But in my mind, jewelry is the only thing that's gold and silver. And I got that from things like Class Ring. You know, well, I just did it because they said to do it. Well, why did they tell me to do it? And then you take it back to 1913 or 1890, when there were no public schools, there were no class rings. You know, there's so many things that we do that we were just taught. And so we have to have compassion on ourselves. Mm-hmm. And then we can have compassion on these people and say, well, you know, their grandparents, they need to go and start thinking for themselves. We all need to start thinking for ourselves around the world. When it comes to Yemen, when it comes to Saudi Arabia, everybody's making fun of that. Well, I was thinking there's only a few leaders who are doing all this. There are so many millions and billions of people. If we people start thinking for ourselves, we can take down these few leaders. There's only a few leaders bombing Yemen, but people are just doing it because they were told to do it. And, you know, we could stop all this. The people can stop all this because there's only a few leaders in the world we need to take down. There's like, you could probably say 100,000 leaders we need to take down when there's billions of people who can do that.
I think you're absolutely right. Because I do want to bring back to the humanity of these individuals who are taught to act this way, who taught to believe this way. Because if you look on ex-Muslims on Twitter and you follow ex-Muslims, these are people who, when presented with truth, they left this misogynistic hatred. And we need to get the truth to them. I have heard of many people who were angry. They live with a lot of anger. A lot of people live with a lot of anger, and there might be Christian television that reaches out to them. I've heard of a woman who came to America she was going to commit jihad, and she came to know Jesus, and now she tells the whole world about Jesus. So, yeah, there's hope for everybody. But the husband of this woman, he's pleading for asylum in the U.S., Canada, or the UK. The government, I think, has made a deal with these hardliners that they won't let her leave the country. It's very dangerous for her. But we're talking about asylum seekers. She needs to be welcomed.
I am Ashik Masih, the husband of Asia Bibi. I am requesting to the Prime Minister of United Kingdom to help us. I am requesting Mr. Donald Trump, the President of USA. We are in trouble in Pakistan. Please help us. 10 ਸਾਲ ਹੋ ਚੱਲੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਕੇਸ ਨੂੰ ਲੜ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਉਸ ਭਾਈ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਤਕਲੀਫ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੈ I and Mr. Joseph Nadeem, we are struggling and fighting since last 10 years of this case of Asia Bibi, and he is also in trouble with us. Thank you, sir. Please help both of the family. And we will thankful to you this kind of kindness, and we are looking forward to your support and help to remove from Pakistan in safe place. Thank you very much.
I don't think you guys know she's a Christian, right? She's a Christian. Yes, we should definitely accept asylum seekers. This was another video of Pakistani people destroying a church. In Egypt, I wanted to let you know, Egyptian Christians bury dead after Islamists massacre pilgrims. Coptic Christians in the Egyptian, this is from Breitbart, and this is from yesterday. Coptic Christians in the Egyptian city of Minya prepared to bury their dead on Saturday, a day after militants ambushed 3 buses carrying Christian pilgrims on their way to a remote desert monastery, killing 7 and wounding 19. During a funeral service, a priest and members of the congregation prayed and chanted over a row of white coffins. All but one of those killed were members of the same family, according to a list of victims released by the church, which said a boy and a girl, 15 and 12, were among the dead. The local Islamic State group affiliate, which spearheads militants fighting security forces in the Sinai Peninsula, claimed responsibility for the attack south of Cairo in a statement, It said the attack was revenge for the imprisonment of Egyptian authorities of our chaste sisters without elaborating. The ISIS affiliate claimed that 13 Christians were killed and another 18 wounded, but it was not immediately possible to independently verify the claim. The attack will likely cast a dark shadow on one of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi's showpieces, the World Youth Forum, which opened Saturday in the Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh. The hopes to draw thousands of local and foreign youth to discuss upcoming projects, with Egypt's 63-year-old leader taking center stage. The Islamic State has repeatedly vowed to go after Egypt's Christians as punishment for their support of el-Sisi. The defense minister, el-Sisi, led the military's 2013 ouster of an Islamist president whose one-year rule proved divisive. It has claimed responsibility for a string of deadly attacks on Christians dating back to December 2016. El-Sisi, who has made the economy and security his top priority since taking office in 2014, wrote on his Twitter account that Friday's attack was designed to harm the nation's solid fabric and pledged to continue fighting terrorism. He later offered his condolences when he spoke by telephone with Pope Rodgers, the spiritual leader of Egypt's Orthodox Christians and a close el-Sisi ally. In a somber message of his own, Tawadros said in a video clip released by the church that the latest attack would only make Christians stronger. I think that this is a terrorist attack which is targeting Egypt through playing the card of the Copts. Friday's attack is the second to target pilgrims headed to St. Samuel the Confessor Monastery in many years. And I guarantee you if this was reversed, it was some sort of white supremacist killing, we'd hear more of it, but I barely got wind of this. It wasn't even in my Twitter feed. So let us pray for our Egyptian Christian brothers and sisters. So what else do I have? All right, so I want to move on to the rest of the world, you could say. I think I'm going to skip China. Again, there's so much going on in China. I just really want to do a whole Chinese episode for you guys. But get this. Visa, MasterCard. Was it MasterCard? It's every MasterCard. Money. Wait. This can buy you this, but for everything else, there's MasterCard. What's that commercial you guys know what I'm talking about? Soros. Wait, you got to see the picture of them. Here we go. Ready? These are Soros prepaid MasterCards for migrants to fund their journey through Europe. I'm not even joking. You can't make this up. So George Soros has repeatedly denied rumors that he is helping to finance the migrant caravans making their way up from Honduras and Guatemala through Mexico. That's all about to change. The Open Society founder who famously financed much of the opposition to Trump's whatever. Migrants are often forced to live in despair in their host communities because they cannot gain access to financial, healthcare, and government service, Soros says. Our potential investment in this social enterprise, coupled with MasterCard's ability to create products that serve vulnerable communities, can now show how private capital can play a constructive role in solving social problems. He spent $50 million to provide scalable healthcare and education solutions, blah, 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 blah. So now he's got these MasterCards for migrants. All right. Are you guys ready for some good news? Are you ready for some good news? No, Jesus doesn't hate Muslims. Jeez. You'd think you would get this already. Jesus came to save people. Most of these people are bound to this ideology anyways. So, if you're in Italy, time to rev up the baby making if you're married. And you have to, for your third child. If you have a third child, Sydney, I think, is stuck. Hang on. What do you want, Sydney? One up? All right. Okay. All right. Up. Sydney fell the other night. She's got a gimpy leg. There she goes again. Sydney, you need to get off of the wood floor. Get on the carpet, babe. Get on the carpet. Get on the carpet. Get on the carpet. Okay. Thanks. Okay. I'm back. Pause. Time out. I love this when I saw this. Italy proposes to give families with a third child free land. So awesome. Italy's populist government has joined Hungary in funding measures to naturally maintain its population without a mass migration by proposing giving families farmland if they are expecting their third child. I love you, Sid. All right, so there are obviously some stipulations here. If you already have 3 kids, it doesn't count. They want to raise the population. All right, so budgetary measures proposed. I just spit on my computer. Wednesday by Italy's parliament aim to make children and cultivate the land by promoting the socio-economic development of rural areas and at the same time support the family. The program would see families expecting their third or second and third if you're expecting twins be allocated a free, small, state-owned piece of farmland in southern Italy, which has otherwise been abandoned or is uncultivated. I've kind of said this in the United States, instead of giving out food stamps, you know, there's a lot of abandoned inner city lots that you should give rent-free, help them to, you know, bring in compost, help them to grow vegetables, things like that. The budget would allow for at least a 20 billion euro provision to allow parents to take out an interest-free loan. Get this is so cool. I don't have a problem with the interest-free loans because they're going to be paid back, right? An interest-free loan up to 200,000 euros to buy a nearby dwelling. Interest-free loan for a house. How cool is that? The project is expected to be applicable for the third child born in 2019, 2020, or 2021, and is expected to run for 20 years. There are exceptions to prevent abuse or oversubscription, including that it is only for Italian citizens or immigrants who have lived in the country for at least 10 years, and is not available for families that already have 3 children or more, as the measures are intended to grow the population, which is steadily declining below replacement levels. Euractiv reports that, according to sources, the policy was the brainchild of Agriculture Minister Gianmarco Centinaio, and endorsed by Regional Affairs Minister. It is said that in Italy there are few children, and the provision provides help to reverse that trend. For this reason, the ministry wants to make a contribution by encouraging, in particular, rural areas where children continue to be born. And it's so that you don't have to have replacement people come in. So in May, remember, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban pledged to make demography his first priority by supporting Hungarian families to grow in a Western world where they are on a decline. Though not to be credited to family tax cuts alone, a positive pro-family culture has seen some effect, with a report over the summer pointing to a rise in married Hungarian women having children. In July, Matteo Salvini said his government had created a Ministry of the Family to work on fertility, nurseries, and a fiscal system which takes large families into account. At the end of this mandate, the government will be measured on the number of newborns more than its public debt. Hear, hear. A country which does not create children is destined to die, and I am all for seeing more Italian babinos. Can I get in? Amen. So, segue here, we're talking about Hungary, how this is paralleling in Poland and Hungary, make families great again, and I'm all about it because God is all about the family. Marriage up, abortion and divorce are down as Hungary chooses family support over mass migration. This is awesome. There's Viktor Orban and his 4 children there, I think. Hungary is preparing to hold a countrywide national consultation on its family policy, which has already resulted in an increase in marriage and a decline in abortion and divorce. Like, months later, hey, you want to get married? Let's do it. We need to start making babies for Hungary. I love it. Viktor Orban's government has chosen to support couples with children rather than accept mass migration. Because populations are in the decline. In recent years, finding the proper response to Europe's demographic decline has become one of the biggest sources of disagreement between European and Hungarian politics. While Brussels bureaucrats want slaves to be imported, not even kidding you, that's exactly what it's all about. The Hungarian government stands committed to the idea of increasing birth rate through more effective family support measures. Dr. Kovacs claimed existing pro-family policies implemented by the Orban government are already bearing fruit. Get it? With abortion number dropping more than a third. Yo. From 40,000 to 28,000 from 2010 to 2017. Divorces falling from 23,000 in 2010 to 18,000. And marriages increasing by a striking 42%. Hungary's results in reducing abortion in particular have earned widespread praise from overseas organizations. The country's new constitution makes a commitment to protect the unborn, but abortion on demand up to 12 weeks remain legal and up to 24 weeks in the case of severe disability. Yeah. It appears the extra government support for adoption services and counseling for expectant mothers, which has brought the number of abortions down. Help in adoption, counseling, help in raising your children. That's awesome. I love it. It says the European Union often attempts to interfere with family policy in Hungary. Go figure. With the bloc's unelected governing executive weighing to denounce a pro-adoption poster campaign showing an unborn baby in the mother's womb with the slogan, "I understand that you are not ready for me, but give me up to an adoption agency and let me live." The EU says that that's against European values. I would like to see that myself. EU funds used for anti-abortion campaigns. Here's Michelle. How'd it go?
All right, we interrupt this broadcast. We're going to go to Lowe's.
You smell like fire.
I do smell it. We're having a fire.
So how'd the holes... Michelle's back. How'd the holes get dug?
With a skid steer and a drill.
Are they dug? Are they measured?
They are ready to go.
Are they 3 feet?
They are deeper than 3 feet.
Okay. And is the skid steer back out of the backyard?
It is.
Did Matt have to pull it out? Or did it make it out on its own?
He did.
I thought that might have been what his truck was doing over there.
Wenches are wonderful things.
We're not talking about the German ones with the beer steins. The other kind.
Right.
On the back of a truck.
So, yeah, we're headed to Lowe's. We're going to get concrete. We're going to get rebar. We're going to get anchors and all kind of fun stuff.
But you can't fill them yet till the...
No. I'm going to call first thing tomorrow morning and schedule an inspection for tomorrow afternoon. And then we can fill them and drop our anchors.
Tim's going to Lowe's with you?
He is going to ride in the truck with us. It's going to be cozy.
Why don't you ride in his truck?
Because we're going to put everything in the back of our truck.
His is nicer.
All that concrete.
Internally nicer.
Right.
But you know, we love our Dodge Ram. It's Matt's Dodge Ram. It's like a purring kitten. So I just told people how on the third child policy you get farmland in Italy.
Yeah, that's the best story ever.
I know.
Don't forget to tell them we're going to cover the election on Tuesday. We're going to cover the election on Tuesday.
I did.
Happy birthday again, Sean. Is Sean here?
Shawnee Show. I haven't seen him pop up in the chat. I've been trying to watch it.
Okay. You're eating your cookies. I took cookies out.
I'm glad. Yeah.
All right, so I'm leaving. I should not have done this, but...
Oh, my...
Don't tell anybody.
Muddy shoes.
I love you all.
She loves you all. She loves you all. Okay, so I try to hit each country with some news to bring you. Well, not each country, but to do several countries while we're here, not just focus on a few. So, Merkel's migration chief suggests courses teaching... I'm trying to bring some German out. Migrants not to rape after despicable gang attack. Angela Merkel's migration commissioner has suggested orientation courses teaching new migrants not to rape German women after a group of Syrians were arrested for a gang attack on a teenage girl. Men who have been living here for a long time need to talk clearly about sexuality and equal rights in Germany to men who have just arrived, if necessary in their native language. In the wake of the despicable crime in Freiburg, all asylum seekers need to get orientation courses about living together in Germany, as soon as they arrive on their first accommodation center, and that also includes that there is zero tolerance for sexual abuse and other violent acts. That's really good to know. Similar initiatives have been attempted in Germany before, with the public swimming pools having illustrated signs showing migrants that molesting women is not allowed after a number of attacks on women and children of both sexes. In June, Donald Trump said the people of Germany are turning against their leadership as migration is rocking the already tenuous Berlin coalition. Crime in Germany is way up. Big mistake made all over Europe in allowing millions of people in who have so strongly and violently changed their culture. There was a brutal attack on a woman in Freiburg. She was 18 years old. She was drugged. She was taken to a wooded area, and she was gang raped by 15 males for up to 4 hours. 7 Syrians and 1 German passport holder were arrested for the crime, with the public being particularly outraged when it was discovered that suspected ringleader Majid H. has a previous conviction and was wanted by the authorities at the time of the attack. Publicly available pictures purporting to show him holding a machine gun somewhere in the Middle East, which he is said to have uploaded to social media, have also caused consternation, suggesting that Merkel's government has been incredibly lax, but they have been really good about kicking people off of social media sites for hate speech. I think that they're monitoring the wrong people. I just got a feeling. This is a really sad incident, and you can't just teach people that rape is wrong, because something happens inside of you when you attack somebody in that manner. Their whole outlook on life, you can't just say, oh, cutting in line is bad. We're going to teach you how we drink beer in Germany, or we're going to teach you how to do the chicken dance, or we're going to show you what we wear for Oktoberfest. The fact that you need to teach somebody not to rape means they shouldn't be in your country to begin with. I'm going to leave it at that. So, France has seen some riots. French police sprayed with acid as youth riot across the country after a purge call. French police officers in a song were attacked by several masked youths and were sprayed with acid on Halloween as gangs wreaked havoc across France following a call to riot posted on social media. These poor migrants sure have access to social media, don't they? You guys are doing kind of... The acid attack occurred after the policemen attempted to foil a robbery of a local grocer by a group of 3 masked youths who were attempting to steal fireworks and other items. The officers managed to arrest 2 of the masked individuals at the scene, but the third managed to escape and was pursued by the officers. When the pair caught up with a 13-year-old, they were sprayed with acid. As though briefly intoxicated by the fumes of the substance, did not report any serious injuries and managed to arrest the youth. The incident followed the call for rioting and a purge of law enforcement sent out on social media earlier this week that led to the arrest of a 19-year-old. Around 20 masked individuals looted a sports shop in the department, physically attacking employees, and police were attacked by another group. Another group of 40 or so, armed with iron bars, vandalized property in St. Michael Shore I can't say it, sorry. While in Évry, 10 people entered a bar, one armed with a sawn-off shotgun, and injured 2 employees. In Paris, a man was robbed of a very expensive Rolodex by 2 individuals wearing pig masks, and 2 other women were robbed of their purses by a group of 3 masked individuals. Car burnings were also common across the country. So several of these incidents were caught on camera. I believe that is a chainsaw on a street light. Okay. All right. Better a street light than a person. These young people need a job. They need to get up every day, feed the pigs. Yeah, I said pigs. The chickens, milk the cow, breathe some fresh air. Too much of that city air makes you go crazy. And that's the truth. Imagine looking out your window. A bunch of masked people going around, breaking things. Whoa. And you don't have any weapon to defend yourself. Call on the internet. Purge. Riot. How are these people connected?
What the fuck, man?
Ceci n'est pas They're not sending their best, are they? I guess the women in migrant-heavy Paris area complain harassment getting even worse. Go figure. I'm gonna pop over here. Hi, Facebook people. I'm so sorry I haven't. Greg Pearson says he worked 13 hours at the polls the last 2 days. We, the Republicans, led every day roughly by about 100 or 2 votes. Just kind of getting some updates here. Go making America great again. You guys are having conversations. What has happened in Europe is what the left wants here, except here they are using South Americans. All right, just kind of seeing what y'all are doing over here. All right. Can you see can you see? You can't see. You can't see over there. All right. Go back over here. Checking out what y'all are saying. Last year, a group of local women, why am I doing a southern accent? Signed a petition in an attempt to call attention to the situation in the Chapelle-Pajol district in northern Paris. But now they claim the situation has become even worse. The situation has worsened, of course, since these men are more and more numerous. Like many others, I gave up taking the metro to La Chapelle to cross the square, even at a running pace, she said. And do not talk about the cafes. They do not say women prohibited on the front, but of course, who would risk it? The police are more present, it's true, but the fights are also more numerous and violent. I have the impression that these traffickers won the game. They took possession of the place, she added. Others have referred to the area as hell due to the rampant criminality, with Luc Guizot, president of the Association of the La Chapelle, describing the change in the area over the past several years. In just a few years, what was an island of tranquility has become an area of lawlessness where the criminal activity grows and hardens. Trafficking and illegal trade began to set in 2014 and 15 near the first camp of migrants in Paris. Despite police presence in the area, there has been little sign that crime will be abated.
Is there something you want me to do for you? Britt said, I think it must be on a down low that they have weapons in Brit. Don't worry about them. They do have weapons. Okay. Something we don't know about.
All right. Don't put it in the chat. I'm happy for you. All right.
I just wondered if there's something you want me to do.
No, I'm good. We're good. All right. So, Finland. Ready? Are you guys ready? You're not ready for this. You are not ready for this. A Muslim woman in Finland complains that there's too many Finnish people there. I'm not even kidding you. She says, don't worry, it'll be solved because there will be more migration.
they don't have a lot of diversity here. It's just Finns and Finns and Finns, and everywhere you look, they are just Finns. So it's a bit difficult to blend in here.
Yeah.
But I think that's something that is solvable in the near future because more and more immigrants are coming here, and it's good for the society.
You know, I went to Russia.
They don't have.
We stood out like a sore thumb because in the late 90s, they didn't wear shorts and t-shirts and gym shoes there yet, which they do now, by the way. All the women wore heels wherever they went, and so we stuck out as those crazy Americans. And I never thought to myself, man, there's too many Russians here in Russia. It needs to be more diverse. So crazy. So crazy. So I want to go to Poland because I have some good stuff I want to show you. The Polish MP was the one lone questioning, why are we discussing Sharia at the Council of Europe when no one is discussing European laws in Saudi Arabia? Poland, I love you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to understand why the Council of Europe is discussing this.
This is the Council of Europe is discussing Sharia and... Sorry, here we go.
Subject. Why? Where is logic? Because I can't see the logic in here. We are discussing the Sharia law in the Council of Europe when no one discussing European laws in Saudi Arabia or other Sharia law states. So where's the logic? So that's the first question. The question number two. We just heard that Sharia is just, it's not the book of rules. It's not a legal book.
He said, we just heard that Sharia is not a book of rules or legal rule, whatever.
It's legal community. We are talking about the legal solutions, not about culture, not about societies. So why we are discussing it? That's question number two. Number three, what parallel can you see between European law and Sharia law when people are killed, raped? What kind of parallel? Where is the logic? Number four, it's against Lausanne Treaty from 1923. It's against European Convention of Human Rights. Why we are discussing it? And just finishing, is it true that women are killed by Sharia? Is it true that people are losing their arms? Is it true that this is Middle Ages, not 21st century? And just to finish it, it's obvious that it's against our system, our law. So I hope next meeting we're not going to discuss if our earth is flat. Thank you very much.
Come on, those people, that was a tough crowd. That was a great joke at the end. Look at this, like, they're just stoic and their lives must be so boring. Do they ever laugh? At the end, he said, and I hope that next week we're not discussing the flat earth. Ba-boom, ching. Ha-ha, funny, funny. Like we're discussing Sharia, how crazy. That was funny. I thought it was funny. Also in Poland, you guys know we did our All Saints Eve. We did our All Saints Day, All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day. Last Wednesday. I hope you got a chance to see that. Our little church. You're in Finland, duh. Yeah, the woman who was, I don't know if she was jailed, but she was fined for saying Muhammad's relationship with the young girl was pedophilia. Yeah. If it's true, then yeah. A lot of the hadiths say she was different ages, but yeah. It's the 1st of November, which means All Saints Day in Poland, a day of remembrance for the deceased. All Saints Day is a special time when we remember those who have died but who continue to live in our memories. And I just thought they get these lanterns out and they put them on these graves. And I wanted to just show you some pictures because I just thought it was so beautiful. They all do it and they light up these beautiful lanterns. And the lanterns are so bright that you can see them from the sky. And I just thought that this was something worthy of us displaying. Oh, look at this, you guys. Look at this. I just thought this was so amazing. You could see it for miles in the sky. All those lanterns. I just loved it. It was so cool. Christian country there. Poland. Loving it. Look at that. Look at that. All the different glass jars. So pretty. Let's see. This was hilarious to me. Priest officially opening a new shooting range in Poland earlier this year. Oh, the chick in the middle's got a gun too. There's a lot of people on the front line with guns there. In Poland, we celebrate All Saints' Day like no other country. Years of partitions and occupation have taught us that in order for us to have a future, we need to respect and honor the past, and especially those Poles who bestowed upon us our freedom and independent Poland. And while we are still there, I wanted to show you some pictures and the stark contrast of what we just saw with the migrants or whoever, those youth destroying the city, and this beauty. Look at those buildings. I love European architecture. I mean, you guys, we don't even have this kind of architecture in the United States. It's not that old. There's a castle I brought up, I think. I don't know if I still have. Oh, it's just, I love it. I love it. I think we're done, because I could go to the Islamic Republic. Actually, I want to show you this. This video shows the Islamic Republic of Iran's failure in injecting an ideology of hatred into Iranians after 40 years. Students at this Iranian university refused to step on the American-Israeli flags the authorities painted at the entrance. These students are Iran's future. There is a revolution, it's a nonviolent revolution happening in Iran. There are men who are standing up, and I wish to show you the videos, follow my Twitter, standing up for women with the hijab thing in Iran. I know a woman who is Iranian. The Iranian people are beautiful, wonderful people, but some of them have been brainwashed by the Ayatollah and the hardliners, but they're not all that way. Like, Iranians are actually really, really good people. So that person jumped over the flag, jumping over the flag, jumping over the flag, going around the flag, going around the flag, going around the flag. Some people are walking on it. I mean, this is just ridiculous. Public buildings that have the flags painted on the floor for you to walk on them. Some people do it on purpose. Some people don't. So I wanted to show you that. All right. So because Michelle's not here, we definitely want to end on something happy. And I might not sing a song because Michelle's not here. But I do want to end on something happy. So Patriot Gallery pointed out to me that song, please. Well, this is kind of a happy thing. Tommy Robinson has been raising money for different people who are disabled, who need things in associated with the military. And there's a young girl who he helped get a wheelchair. I'm going to spoil the end. They did raise enough money. I'm going to show you at the end how much. But you've got to see this.
How old are you, Daisy?
Check on my
7.
dog here.
And are you the youngest of the 8? You're the youngest of the 8.
You're the little one of the 8, yeah?
I bet all your brothers spoil you, didn't they? Yeah.
She's got wrapped around her little finger.
Has she?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The youngest is the most feisty one.
Yeah.
Because you have to be.
Cheeky.
You've got a beautiful smile. So, Sam, we've come here. I want to, I was contacting lots of people, and I spoke to some friends of yours who made me aware of Daisy's situation. I understand you have 8 children, and your husband's in the army. First of all, can I just start? I want to ask, 8 children. How do you do it? I've got 3 children, and trying to get them brushed their teeth, trying to get them dressed. 8 children must have been a struggle, and then obviously Daisy must be a lot of time. It must be, yeah.
It's been tricky.
She's got cerebral palsy.
Cerebral palsy.
Which means what?
For Daisy,
Yeah.
it means she has 4 limb. I can't remember the exact term for it, but she has 4 limb cerebral palsy. But actually, she's mostly affected internally, so it's her digestive system and her bowels and everything that are affected. And she was
born
with it or diagnosed with it within 6 months.
Within 6 months.
Yeah, she was discharged as a healthy baby, and Christmas Eve we found out that she actually had cerebral palsy after she stopped feeding.
Okay.
That was pretty hard.
On Christmas Eve? Yeah. So you've been doing charity events, I understand, to try and raise the money. How much is the wheelchair?
I think it's about 21,000.
21,000?
Altogether.
Yeah. And how much have you raised?
About 8,300, something like
8,300.
that. Yes, we've still got a fair way to go.
And what sort of, in the reasons of Daisy has this wheelchair, what difference would an electric wheelchair make to her life?
Massive, huge difference. We're a rugby family, and all the boys play rugby. My other daughter plays rugby.
6 boys, 2 girls.
Yeah.
6 boys first of all.
Yeah.
We established that, so you carried on going.
And they're all rugby fans. They all play rugby. We're often at the local club. It would mean that Daisy could get around out on the pitch side by herself. It would just give her the independence to be included. We could take her to the beach, which I can't do anymore because she's too heavy for me to carry down.
Just for her to have her own independence. If she wants to go there, she can go there.
Yeah.
If she wants to go, and this wheelchair, I've looked at the videos of it. It stands up. It does everything.
Fantastic.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does everything. Yeah. Daisy, would you be excited to get a new wheelchair? Yeah. Did it go fast?
I can control it, and I've never controlled one before. I've never controlled one before, even though on the first bit I tried it was quite different.
Quite difficult.
Yeah.
Was it? You'll get the hang of it in no time. Is it fast? Is it fast? Yeah. Yeah. Does it spin round? Yeah. Yeah.
And it's got a loud hooter as well, isn't it?
Has it got a loud hooter? Has it?
You want people you come in so you don't squash them.
I could have a race.
You can have a race. You can have a race on sports day. You'd probably beat everyone.
Yeah.
You'd probably beat everyone if you had it on sports day.
That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
How long has your husband been in the army?
Ever since I've known him.
Okay.
We joined up when he was, as soon as he was old enough.
When I spoke to your friends who explained the situation, I met a gentleman called Knox. Lives near you. Lives near here. I'm going to speak to him in a little while because we got him a wheelchair and the public got him it, and the public got him it as a thank you for his service. I think the public will completely support getting you your wheelchair. And as a thank you, it'd be an opportunity for them to thank your husband and thank you as a military wife. The wait to get this chair made is between 6 and 8 weeks. Christmas is coming, and wouldn't it be a beautiful Christmas present to give Daisy if you could wake up with a new wheelchair, sweetheart? So, if you could support this and get behind it, it's a great cause. Thanks.
I noticed there in a minute that the light was shining on the little girl's face, and I wish I had been able to drop it in so you guys could see it like normal, but Michelle was like, maybe we shouldn't have you do that because if I play it and then it doesn't work and then we lose everything. So that would not be awesome. But so good news. This is a really great story. Are you ready? Here is the GoFundMe, which has raised $44,787 so far. And Tommy says on his Facebook page, We did it in less than 24 hours. Let's see.
In only 15 hours, you have changed Daisy's life. Imagine what we could achieve in the coming weeks and months. Let's not stop here. Let's raise funds for military families in need. We are setting up a registered charitable trust that will focus on the military families, like Daisy and like Knox before her. In fact, Knox and Daisy's mother have both agreed to sit as trustees on that charitable trust. We've contacted a law firm that specialises in charitable trusts, and we are drafting the paperwork now. The registrations may take several months. But we look forward to bringing you more cases and more campaigns of people in need. Thank you. Thank you to the British public for supporting this campaign.
Give me your answer.
That is so exciting. I gotta tell you, I teared up, you guys. Like, I seriously cried when I saw that. Ugh. It's like, if it's not one thing, it's another. I gotta turn that off. Yikes. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap things up. I'm so glad you were here with me. We had a good couple hours, didn't we? We went over a lot. They are good people. Tommy's a good man. He really is. He's a good person. And for people to demonize him, that's what they did to the disciples. They went out about to kill them. They hung Jesus on a cross. But we're all, you have the spirit of Tommy Robinson in us, who just fight for the underdog, the abused, the broken, the maligned. That's what the left and the Democrats say that they do, but they use them. They don't want to help them. They don't want to lift them up. They don't want to be part of them. I'm so glad you guys were here today. I'm so glad we were able to do our tour of Europe. And when we bring out the news, bring out the negativity, I hope that I brought out some positive today, show some humanity in Poland and the leaders speaking up. I got to show the negative, to show you what these leaders are up against and how awesome it is that they're fighting, how awesome it is that Italy is fighting, how awesome it is that Brazil voted in the Brazilian Donald Trump, how awesome it is to see the, embracing families again, embracing life again, pro-life messages again, how awesome it is, and how awesome it is. You're going to wait just one more second as I go get Jasper out of the porch here. Come here, Beans. You come inside? You come inside? You go back out? You're going to come inside. You go inside? Let's go. Let's go. Hombre. Here we go. Coming inside. Jasper, Beans. We're coming inside. Older dogs, older geriatrics. So, what are you guys going to do this week? Who's voting? Who's not voting? Resistance Chicks is my church. Thanks, Leah. Awesome. If that was 21,000, then it's 27,000 plus. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to use it for her family. Mom said something about using it for another military, putting it in a trust, the extra money into the trust to help somebody else, which I find incredibly. John O'Connell said I voted red. Awesome. You ladies inspired me to get that same Trump hat. Well, actually somebody sent us these hats, and I still don't know who it is. I think I might write a book called How the Brexiteers Changed the World. Baker Mom says, I will be there when the polls open at 6 a.m. and I will ask for a paper ballot. Voted red all the way through, says Redneck Survivalist. Help save American socialism. Vote Republican. And Gary, I gotta tell you what. I don't tell people how to vote. You gotta do what God's called you to do. But whatever you do, don't vote for Gillum in Florida. The man is one straw away from Karl Marx. Like, he more than embraces socialism. If his own campaign people say he's left of center. Like, he's a communist, right? So there you have that. Only Make America Great hat in Scotland. Really? Because I said in the beginning, there was a lot of Brexiteers from Scotland. We got a lot of letters from Scottish men. They just need some Make America Great Again hats. You guys are amazing. And there's the phone. I mean, it's all kind of thing going down right here. All kind of things. All right, God, we just thank you so much for this day. I pray for our viewers. I pray that you would lead them and guide them in wisdom in the ministry that I know that you have for each and every one of them. We pray for our UK and Euro brothers and sisters. We pray for Brazil. We pray that their leadership will be able to change the country and take it in the right direction. I know that Patriot Gallery is going to answer that phone. She did. Good. Thank you. Let's see. If there's anything... that would be Michelle calling me, I bet. Yep. I'm signing off. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, so... Okay. Well, just stay in line and make sure I hit the right buttons. All right, guys. I'm going to sign off. Michelle is calling me, and she needs my help. So here we go. She's going to tell me what to do.
Campaign is calling us.
Press the ending on what? Ending. Okay, bye, guys. I'm just going to hit the ending. I love you. God loves you. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory of the truth. We have a P.O. Box 107. If you want to send Michelle a birthday card by Friday, 107, Milford, Ohio, 45150. She'll be 25. She's beautiful. Remember, it's not just conspiracy theory of the truth. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Masturbate 3 and Resistance Chicks. Ring the bell for notifications. Check us back here on Tuesday night sometime. I'm guessing in the later evening. When all the results are coming in, I'm guessing 9-ish. All right, guys. Ending. Go. I was called